come to your mind? Scholar, brother, an African man. His topic today, Africa, mother of Western civilization. I'd like to bring on Dr. Yusuf Ben Johannes.
We'll have a permission, some questions and answers after the permission.
I want to thank you for coming out this very pleasant evening to hear me. And first I would like to address something before it waits to the question and answer period. And that is the question which I'm getting everywhere I go about the Gil Noble show. If you know anything about Gil Noble, you would realize that Gil picked his subject and decided what part of his tapes he's going to show. And Gil does not rehearse any part of his program. You go there the day he's going to tape, and he questions you. You don't know what it's going to be about. They are told what the subject should be about, but they're not told what he wants other than that. So was the series that he had on about Egypt. It was spontaneous, and whatever he selected to show of the thousands of feet of film of video that he has, he made the choice, and I must needs say I only saw one segment, the last. In the first segment, I was in Egypt. I had gone back. I came here in August, and by September, I had been back in Egypt. And when the first segment showed, when the second segment showed, I was landing in New York. I had gone back to Egypt in September, and my plane was just coming in that same day. I saw the third segment because I had gone to Egypt again, and I just came back the week before, and so I saw that third segment in the office. So whatever is in there, I had nothing to do with the selection of what was going to show. So for those who ask why did I have that part of the show, couldn't I take out this and couldn't I take out that? No, I couldn't take out this and I couldn't take out that. Neither did they decide what Gil wanted to show. Gil came to Egypt, and Gil had asked questions of every one of us and took his pictures at the convention, and he showed what he wants. There are thousands more feet that he can show and will show in the future, as he indicated to me. So that is about it. And what you saw there is just what it is. Nobody can change it, and that's what just it is. I don't have anything in it to change or want to change anything. And what happened is the truth. He shot what he saw and heard, and that's it. No, I think I got that out of the way, and now I could go into the other side of the lecture. To speak of African origins of Western civilization is almost anticlimactic at this period of time. It seems as if I have been speaking about that since 1939, that's a few days ago. But it doesn't change since 1939. It seems as if we know less as we hear more. And why do we know less up to now? I think it's because of our blind faith. We have an undying blind faith about Europeans. And that is, we cannot get away from them. We cannot get away from them because our point of reference is nothing but European. First of all, what they have done to us, number one, even when people refer to us, we have to remember Europe. When you call us, when we go to our birth certificate, and when we read the birth certificate, when we look at what our mother and our father, and we read their name, when we decide to go to pay a pilgrimage to our deity, we see Europe. When we go to the classroom and we study in history, let's say, we read and can remember nothing else but European or European American history. For those of us who know a little bit of history, it is King George, Louis V, and all kinds of Georges and Louis. And so, naturally, everything we see is from a European setting. And then we have met with Michael Jackson because he changed his nose. I don't see nothing wrong with Michael Jackson. I'm surprised that most of you haven't changed your nose. Professor Simmons and myself were coming from Brooklyn yesterday, and we were looking at all the things coming from Brooklyn all over the bridge, and we were trying to find some of the things that we could point out owned by black folks. And Jesse's going to be the president of all these buildings and all these bridges, and the white man going to vote for him to be the president of all of these things. Then I look at the military base in Brooklyn, what's left of it, and the Coast Guard building just down there, and all the Navy boats that in the harbor, not comes in and those outside of the harbor, only those that we could see. And then we look at all the refineries, oil refineries that we could see on the Brooklyn side and everything. I said, that's what Jeffrey Jackson will be president of. And I said, we sick. We got to be naturally sick to believe that the cracker will put us in charge of all of that equally, and we're going to share this. I said, George, something wrong with us. But we have to go back a little deeper than that. If you believe that, you are not only a danger to yourself, you're a danger to me. Because if you believe that, then you got to believe you're going to protect it from me. You got to believe that you're going to go to any African country to kill those people. Because since you're not African, I'm talking about African. I know when the boat came from Africa, it brought Jamaicans, it brought Georgians, it brought Puerto Ricans and Cubans from Africa. And that day I was looking to find what country. I look at the country, I look for Jamaica in Africa, West Virginia, Southern New York, in Africa, because that's what you are. So I said to myself, George, something is wrong with me. I guess it's old age. When you get old, you do. I know your bones get slow. I can tell. Nobody can tell me. But your brain obviously got, so something must be wrong with me. Why, this is all the preliminary thing. I got to tune up before I get deep into this thing to understand what's going on. So I thought that it's because I'm getting old, why I have missed something. So then I have to look back and ask. The other day, somebody came to me and said, "You're always talking. I got to talk about this now. There's a black man in charge of West Point." I said, "You're right. There's a black man is the director of West Point." So then I asked him, what is the administration of West Point? Who is his secretary? Who is his licensed man? Show me the cabinet which he is over. And I found there's one other black man and there are 15 fellows who run the West Point. I said, you know what happened? They could put a jackass there. I mean, one with 4 legs and then 2 long ears. And it would make no difference at West Point, much less if they put a black man there. Now, you know the black man they put there. He'd be no different than Chappie James, but he's dead, he's all right now. And he wouldn't be no different than Brigadier General Davis Jr. It wouldn't be, he said, I am of your color and every race, but I'm not of your kind. Now, ain't no be no different than Leontine Price, the singer, and her brother, the general, and who said they will go to South Africa to fight the African communists like they will fight any communist. I mean, so what difference does it make who is in charge of West Point? West Point is no different than when they put Otana and put him in jail and kick him out of West Point, frame him up. It's the same West Point this man is in charge of. It is no different than who is the senator. Well, Brooks is gone, poor fellow, because he thought that Adam Powell would have to be kicked, and as a matter of fact, he sat there and persecuted Adam Powell for the other crackers, while he himself had his cracker broad wife in Boston. See, so now I look at history again unfolding. Not only did the brothers in Brooklyn and sisters, there are some down there, they made sure that Van Beatty go to jail. You remember him. But he's been in jail so long you can't remember him. Well, Van Beatty had a black wife who loved him and some black children. So they put him to jail. That's Alban and the whole bunch of them down there. They put Van Beatty to jail. So I said, oh, good. They got a good brother coming up or a good sister who done do a lot for us. So when I looked, they got a brother, they got a fellow who looked like a black man, named the Owens. So I know that he gonna bring a black wife. So I'm sitting there to see the black family that's gonna replace the Beatty family, and found that Major Owens' wife. But somebody said, she only look white, but she ain't white. So I started to do my historical research about his wife. And she still keeps coming up white up to today. You know, some one of you may have a different situation. Now I am hearing that it wasn't that. So what happened? History again. A black sister, an African sister, with an African husband, came to Egypt, the same Egypt that Gil was showing the other night. Agley was there, Stanford, and she spoke there. She came back and spoke that and said that when she became chancellor of the education system, that every black child, as a part of the elementary education, the city should make sure that that child at least go to Africa one time before it graduates from public school, because she's saying it isn't that child's fault that it doesn't know its homeland. All Europeans know their homeland from one way or the other, but the black child should have to be able to go to Africa from young so that it would appreciate the continent. But I am hearing that she's now going to have competition from another colored fellow. This one was a deputy superintendent. He also has a white wife. That's different. So you have to learn from from history, because every time I look at you, as soon as you get 2 cents, whether you're in the raffle or you hit the numbers, or you play baseball or football and run over the fence with Hertz place there, with a briefcase in your hand, or you could throw a basketball and you're taller than 7 feet or so and lose half your mind and growing. Whether you're doing it that way, you don't understand African history, because the way you live proves that you do not understand. So let me give you a little lesson in African history and its impact on European history, if in fact Europe had a history to impact on it. Well, let us see if Europe had a history. First of all, we got to see, when can we start European history? When can we start Asian history? When can we start the 2 continents of the Americas history? When can we start, now Australia suddenly stopped being the biggest, largest island, became a continent. Anytime European wants something to be something, it'll be that way. And Australia has suddenly become a continent. And Antarctica is a continent. So then we will find when did African history come into being. Well, since we are not going to talk about Antarctica, because nobody from Antarctica is around to defend it, so we're going to let that one go for the time being. And Australia, we're not going to talk about that, because the owners of that continent are still being hunted as if you hunt a rabbit. That's the carrion, which you would call aborigines, like your masters call them. The people call themselves carrion, but you call them aborigines. That's not, you call yourself niggers. So there's nothing wrong with that. If you call yourself niggers, you'll call them anything else. Now, so we could deal with Australia, because those who really run Australia now, most of them, mamas and great-grandmamas and daddies, came from the jails of Ireland and England. That was used as a penal colony for some of the worst criminals that ever came out of England. Australia. It was like the state of Georgia. The state of Georgia was used as a criminal reserve for the English government. So when the cracker in Georgia talk about Atlanta, and you tell me how great Atlanta is, as if it could be better than any other cracker place, then I want to know if you remember that the people in Atlanta now, the crackers, are no better than their mamas were, and the great grandmama was. The second was then, and the second was now. Now. So then we could eliminate that. Now when we come to Asia, because a lot of you got problems, if you become Muslim, here it goes. If you become a Muslim, you automatically believe you're Arab. I don't know why. It must be that you can't look in the mirror. For Christmas, I'm going to get you a mirror. At least an imaginary mirror, to make you realize being Muslim don't make you simultaneously an Arab. You got problems. And let me tell you, by the way, for those that, because tonight I'm bound to get some Muslim questions. So I'm going to make myself a Muslim right now. And anybody who wants to be a Muslim with me, wait, believe it or not, this is all you got to say. Ashhadu La ilaha Allah, Muhammad Rasul Allah. That makes you a Muslim. You need nothing else. You don't need to know the Quran. You don't need to know nothing about Muhammad. You don't need to know about Muhammad's mama, nor his grandmother or papa. You don't need to know anything. Just that statement makes you a Muslim. And nobody tell you all the things, killing the damn language, doing everything. You know, that's all he knows. But he doesn't know that. And Muslim and Muhammad Muslim and all kind of Muslims. And that's all you need to know. That will get you to Mecca. Okay? Now, since it is, I want to say it again to be a Muslim, but tonight so you don't bother me. Okay. Now, you know, the brothers, they tee off all the time and believe they're the only one that knows something about it. That's what you could say too. And then you black Jews, black is right and all the other things, that's all right, no right. That's good. I mean, if I could get this all out the way, then I could deal with the thing, and the question and answer period will deal with the issue. They're not going to deal with, if I had like Muhammad's grandmother or like Jesus' grandfather or one of them. I didn't know them, so I don't know if I'd like them. If they were here, I might have them. Then I might not. I might just kill them just like anybody else. Now, get all that out of the way. You see, I don't change because of age, I just get worse. Now, to deal with Greece, and why do I go to Greece? Because Greece, admittedly by Europeans and by Africans who are Europeans, is the oldest civilization in the entire continent of Europe. The other nation closest to Greece, and there's a question whether or not it may have preceded Greece. But the documentation by Europeans places this particular country, Greece, what it was called Pyrrhus, P-Y-R-H-U-S. Now, Pyrrhus, or the next country, was Etrusca. That's spelled E-T-R-U-S-C-A, Etrusca. Pyrrhus became Greece, and Etrusca became Rome. What was Rome in ancient days is now called Italy, or the Italian peninsula. What was Pyrrhus and Greece, or Phyllis and Hellas, become the Greek peninsula, or Greece. Now that's identified the place. Let's try to give it a location geographically. I know most of you did not have geography in school, but that's not my fault. Again, that's the cracker fault. So you have to blame him. So most of you have no idea where Greece and Rome is located from where you are. Don't worry about it. You have no idea where you located. When you have to go home, if you move the street, you don't know what direction you live. So don't worry about it. Don't feel bad. You don't know if you live east, west, north, or south. You just know you live to such and such a street. So don't feel bad about over there. But these places I'm talking, they are north of the continent of Africa. Why could I say that? Why should I say that when you know what the continent of Africa is? But nevertheless, you know that you might have been there with a plane, some of you, at least in a dream. But north of the continent of Africa, let us take the equator. Now, that's another thing. You may not know where the equator is. But nevertheless, let's keep going. Now, let us take the equator, the equatorial line, and 20 degrees above that will put you about dead middle going across Morocco, from Morocco all the way over to Egypt. That line was drawn. Now it's above there to a place called the Mediterranean. At the northern side of the Mediterranean Sea, which was originally called the Great Sea or the Sea of Sights. Sights was what Egypt was once called to. At the far eastern point of that, a peninsula there is Greece. You continue west from Greece and you go down in a bay there, Adriatic Sea and so forth, and you come to another peninsula, and that's the peninsula called Italy today. Those two areas, those two points, are the oldest civilizations of Europe. Apart from the wars of the Etruscans, the little Romans, there isn't much to speak about. So therefore, when Europeans speak of the antiquity of Europe, they primarily speak of the antiquity of the Greeks or the people of Paris. People who had migrated from the islands of the Mediterranean into that land. So when you're going to talk about ancient Greece, you have to speak of these people from the islands who went in there. But the people of those islands who occupied that island, even before it became Paris, were people who were colonials of Egypt. The earliest people that became subsequently Greeks were themselves under the colony of Egypt. Thus, it is that the earliest education of the people who went over there and established any kind of civilization or high culture were colonials under the Egyptian quote-unquote educational system, which later Western Europeans call mysteries system. And that's what the word mysteries mean. Don't put any magic to it about mystery system, because let me give you one of the mystery taught in the educational system. Mathematics, law, engineering. These are mysteries. Why are they mysteries? If you don't know them, they are mysterious. See, for men who can't read and write, writing is a mystery. Anything you don't know and comprehend is a mystery. Childbirth, for many of you mothers, is a mystery. You had a baby, but you don't know even how you got pregnant. You can't trace the reproductive organ. You can't trace yours. How are you going to trace his? But you knew you were pregnant. You know you had a baby, but isn't it a pity that here's a mother that you fathers don't have no idea just because you've been going around all the place talking about you made a baby. You've never made a baby. You had a bunch of lazy sperm going down nothing. And you had a harder, and the next thing from a harder with friction, you're going to ejaculate. And the sperm's got there, the woman. And you so damn stupid you don't know that you don't plant a baby. You plant the sperm. The baby is made in the mother. Babies are not made in man and go to woman. So sisters, when you tell you, I plant a baby, tell it, you know he's a jackass. Don't care how long you were married to him, you know you got a So now you know, you got to get it straight. I'm getting on the road. Now, understanding all of this now, this society called Greece was just like the brother I was just talking about. The Europeans who boast of the Greek, who boast of Greek civilization in terms of the first historian, meaning Herodotus. You got to deal with the first historian. Herodotus is not known any place in history until at best 457. Then is when we hear about Herodotus from men like Eusebius and other chronologists. So that's 457 before the Common Era, you said BC. The next persons are supposed to be a superstar in Greek, and why Greek? Greek represents the Western world. The next superstar for Greece will be Thales, Thales. He is supposed to have been the first philosopher in the world. And we don't hear from Thales until about 623 BC. The next superstar is supposed to be Homer, because it's Homer who was the first Greek, the first European to have written anything that we have any record of, when he wrote the Iliad and the Odyssey. And that was about 830, 833 somewhere. Most of the Greek things are 33, ending 33. Hippocrates was born 333, and all these kind of fellows 33, 33. That's the kind of magical numbers. And the next superstar to his is the father of medicine, Hippocrates. He's 333. Now, you could get some more fathers and grandfathers. Of course, they had no mothers in their history. Because Greeks, they used to go with women very, very rarely. Very rarely. So when they come back from the army, they might remember they got a wife. You see, Greeks used to bet each other whose wife was a virgin, who whose whites still had a hymen. By the way, I got to use that because a virgin is mixed up with a hymen. You see, a woman could be a virgin and still had 20 children. The Greek word virgo, and that's what virgin comes from, has nothing to do with hymen. A woman condition of hymen is a woman who has had no sexual intercourse or placed any foreign substance in her vagina to rupture a thin membrane of skin with very sensitive nerve covering the hole there, and that's the hymen. The rupture of that stops you from being a virgin, and it don't have to be a penis. Anything that will dilate it, that will burst it, is the destruction. So if you've been fingering yourself masturbating and you bust it, and then you never had a man, you still don't have a hymen. So I gotta make this clear. So Virgo is not a state. Now, if you got that, don't care how old you are, you will have a hymen. It does. You still see the Virgo is a state of being, a state of condition, not physical. It was a frame of mind a person could be. Okay. So when they said that Goddess Aset had an immaculate conception and gave a virgin birth 4,100 years before Mary turned around and did the same trick. They were talking about a condition, a state of mind, and not a physical condition of asset. Now, since we understand these things, that lay the foundation for us to understand what we are talking about, the African origins of. As we look at the earliest, the Europeans, at best, not one of these records of Europe show any historical document before 833 Homer's Iliad and Odyssey. So we could say Greece and Rome did not enter history until 833. We were told by the Europeans themselves in their colleges and elsewhere that until a nation writes, until you have in your society writing, you are not in history. Writing separates prehistory from history. The day high culture writes down its event, it doesn't mean that's not doing anything. But until it records it said that is prehistory. Anything from the day it records its first word until now is called history. Now, since that is so, let us look at what African countries recorded their history and when. We have Ethiopian history that go back to King Ori about 5,100 before the Common Era. We have Egyptian history with recorded history, and we're going to take the archaeological finds. Much of the recorded in the hieroglyphs, which we cannot read, most of these ancient ones, if we're dealing with those that we can decipher, we will go back to at least 6,000 to 10,000 before the Common Era, because we will have to go back to the time of the Egyptian calendars, the birth calendar of 10,000 BC being the stellar calendar. And then we will come down to 4100 BC, which would be the solar calendar. The current calendar, the current calendar of the Europeans from Rome is based upon the Egyptian calendar. I gotta feel comfortable. I get comfortable. See, I'm just walking on the sweat. Now, excuse me for those of you who feel that a professor should be more appropriately dressed. Now, you got problem, not me. I'm not a European. Leave me alone, I take off everything, but some of you get embarrassed for seeing what you're accustomed to. Yes, thank you. Now, what we have to then see, that what I'm showing you is that the African recording of events started for us to go back to the beginning of it, we can only go to archaeology, because it's way beyond our comprehension of what the symbols are. We see them, but we can't decode them as yet. Some of them dating back to as much as 500 to 1000 BC. When we go to the drawings and the writings at the Tsitsili Mountains in what is called the Atlas Mountains and the Tsitsili Mountains in northern Africa in the Sahara. If we go to the southern part of Egypt, of Africa, a place then called Monomotapa, before the first European come there, in a place called Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe, the modern country is named for it. It used to be the capital of the city of the nation of Monomotapa, which was bigger than the United States. Now they have a stupid picture called some check or something that's supposed to deal with one of the heads of that state. We'll waste time to even see to remember what it's called. Now, I know you saw it. You couldn't miss it. It's on TV and it's in the newspaper, especially Daily News, your Bible, and you're looking to find what change I must do for the day. And while looking there, you may get tired because they're not left, so you read about that. That's the highest stage of your intellectual capacity. Now. So when we go back to that, so we're seeing now, we're dealing when the African is in this high value of high culture, of the highest value of civilization. You say reading and writing. They can read and notate the civilization, what has transpired prior to our being. That is what makes writing and reading so important, that it tells us what happened prior to our being, the importance of your birth certificate. That's the thing. It documents for you what you could remember, because although you were born, you won't to that stage conscious that now it's transpired up to now, so you must go back to the document. That's the quality of record. And that is what we must go back to. So when we go back to writing, and as I was dealing with the calendar, you will find that even the calendar that tells us to come here this particular day by reading that document, the one that is now is 365 days per year, and they are within this year 12 months. These 12 months are broken up into an equal amount of days per month. So that's 28 days in one case make 1 month, and another 48, 29 will make it. Some are 30 days and some are 31 days. The Africans have developed a calendar which is still being used in Ethiopia as its national calendar, still being used in Egypt by the Coptics and all the farmers as their calendar, with 365 and a quarter days. And in the months there are 12 months of 30 days each, and 1 month of 5 days. So that you can't make mistake of being confused. What some people got no birthday for 4 years. Other people got birthday in that between that time, but you just add 4 years because you didn't say nothing and all that kind of junk. You see now. So you understand right there. But the Romans, the intelligence at the early stage couldn't deal with it. So they had to have an African come from Ethiopia to change the calendar so those jackasses could understand to deal with dates. They tried to develop a number system. It was so cumbersome. Roman numerals L, X, 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 Y, Y, I equals 50 million years. Now, how the hell you going to multiply with that? You see? So, they had to get somebody to come to change that for them. So, now, and they had to take an African, because at the time we had not civilized them bastards of the cage yet. Now, excuse the language, but you're not supposed to speak like that when you go to this school, this nice finishing school. See, some of us forget that we are African. You say, I am like Jesus, I speak the language of the people. You see, Jesus was going to say, you motherfuckers, and all the time. It's the language of the people. Why do you think that Jesus didn't say that? You yourself said Jesus did not speak Hebrew. He spoke Aramaic, the language of the people. Then what did I hear you saying all the time? Do I hear you say, nigga motherfucker? So I could just say Jesus when he's on earth, say nigga motherfucker all the time. So I'm speaking a little bit better than Jesus, at least. I haven't called you a motherfucker yet. So, now, and we look there and look so close to this thing. We are involved. We have set up, I'm in Egypt now, I'm a Saqqara. That's the film you just saw. I am a Saqqara, and the reason I gone to Saqqara, it used to be my cemetery. Remember, I'm going to Saqqara in 4100 BC. 4100 BC. You know what happened? Adam and Eve isn't yet in the world. And I am a Saqqara, setting up an institute of learning. And Adam and Eve didn't come yet. They can't come. They no Jew yet to write no Bible. Abraham isn't born yet. He isn't going to come until I am in my 13th dynasty. It's going to be 1675 before I'm going to hear about this Turkey. He's going to show up in 1675. I'm already in my 13th dynasty. He comes in with a conqueror. Coming in with a conqueror who conquered me, a set of people that I saved from hunger, saved in no drawers to wear, and I tell them they could come in, they come into my house to dinner and try to rape my wife. These are the people. Abraham is going to be born that time. So take up your Bible, your Quran, and anything, and when you hear the name Abraham, that sucker was no damn good. He came in with the Hyksos who came to conquer my people. After we had fed them, clothed them, and did everything, we are still taking in people, still treating people. The last time the Iranians was here, we don't forget that them same Iranians was the Persians who had come and set fire to us behind. All right, let me get that. I teach you with all the beautiful language that we use in the university. You don't hear nothing then. So but I speak in the language of the people. Maybe you remember because I spoke to you in the language. I will call you up a name soon. No, what? So we're looking down. I set up the school in Saqqara. Why did I set up the school in Saqqara? Because the Nile suddenly, nature, suddenly decided to change its course. And I had my everything at a city called Mennepa, which the Greeks later come and change the name to Memphis. So Mennepa is just down the hill, Saqqara. So when the Nile changed with the flood, I moved my city in my cemetery. If you go to modern Egypt, in old Egypt, a place called Fustat, you will see a whole city where the people live in the cemetery. That's why I know dead people don't do a damn thing but stay dead. All of you that scared of ghosts and dark, but the person come back and did that, dead people don't do shit. Dead people stay dead. That's why they're dead. They won't shit no more. Only a memory. And if the bastard was no good alive, let him stay dead. Don't even remember it. Now, we moved our city from the lowland and went up to the highland with the cemeteries. But up there, not only did we build in wood, but then at a time it became important because wood was perishing in the kind of weather we had. So one of our great multi-genius among us, we had many multi-genius, but one, the only one that the earliest one that we recorded, a man called Imhotep, decided he had a method to build with, the best method. And we said, Imhotep, tell us. He says, we're going to use stone. I said, where the hell are you going to get the stone? And Imhotep said, there's a mountain there with all that big stone. And we said to Imhotep, what are you talking about, you ill? And he said, I got the method. We said, man, that's stone. And he said, it doesn't mean nothing to me. And he said, let me show. And he started digging and hitting and hammering. Oh, we knew he was going crazy. Black people are always going crazy. And so he hit, and then he went and squared up the thing. And we said, now Imhotep, watch it. He said, then he brings some wood. I said, you going to hit the wood in there too? He said, no, that's technique. And so he soaked the wood and drove he took the wood, drove it, and then soaked, pour water. And then the wood started to expand and crack the joint, and boom, the block burst and separate, and we just pull it out the wall. And he said, we're going to take 1 + 1 of those. And we said, what's going to hold it in the wall, man? You need plaster, like them jackasses coming, and mortar. You're going to need it like them Sergeant Jude. You're going to show it to the Greek, and the jackass going to try to put some mortar. They ain't do it yet, but I can see in the future. I'm a prophet. So he said, no, we're going to grind it down. And we're going to make the damn joint so they can't stick a piece of notebook paper in between the joint. I said, what? You going to do that? We could do that? He said, yeah, we do, madam. So in Hotep got there and built our first building, the first building in the world out of stone. And you saw it in the film. And so we said, that, man, you gonna stay, we can't let you stay there building buildings. You're already an architect, yes, but we can't take you away. You're a doctor. No, we're talking, I was talking to that crossed my mind, and I was talking to him, and this is around 2780, before the Common Era. Adam and Eve isn't here yet. And so I said, you still got your duties as Prime Minister. You still writing songs to make me talking about eat, drink, and be merry, but tomorrow we're gonna die. You're still writing poetry. You don't have time for all this, to be doing that. And then you go build the thing too. What you gonna do? Now I'm talking to one of our star builders. This is a genius. He does everything that you could think of. And yet, Michelangelo isn't coming till 2,000 years later to be the first most genius. And here I'm talking to one 2,000 years before. Etrusca, Rome isn't yet. Rome gonna come about 1,000 years later. Do you understand? Now let us go, because I decided to move from there. No, I decided I'll go further into one of the tombs. He says, where you going? I said, let's go. That's that little pyramid over there. I said, since you go building a step pyramid with 7 different mastabas. Mastaba is a box-shaped looking thing, and one on top of the other, you build that pyramid to put Pharaoh Jusa. I said, well, let's go to the one to order. It drives me. It got something about that pyramid is driving in there. So he said, that's okay, it's the smallest one we get. But I said, but something tell me is important. So when in there, I found that the best preserved writing, the pyramid text and the coffin text, the best writings that has been done in such thing is still in there, almost intact like the day our brothers, the scribes, had done it. Talking about the concept of the next world, the concept about heaven, the concept about hell. That hell is not what you're talking about, by the way. That isn't the hell they're talking about. The Christians and Jews and Muslims screw it up since they talk about it. And the plagiarization of it. And I went in there and said, man, you got all this beautiful thing. When Greece and Rome come in this world, they're going to say, they did this too, And just as many good men say that he's the father of Spain, they're going to say, they're the father of this. I go on now. And I said, well, all right, let us go on there. I want to build a house up the street. And you talk about triangulation. He said, what we got to do is, we don't have to do not only triangulation, but we have to do some geometry. I said, what geometry? The Greeks ain't come yet. We ain't gonna know what geometry till they come. He said, no, what's the Greeks? What are they? I said, they're people who come into the future. And he said, oh no. We have to use that in order to do the calendar. I said, the calendar is because of, yes, he said, we have to find distance from the different planets and the stars and the moon that's going around there. I said, you could measure from there to there? He said, yes. That's why we developed 3.14. I said, you developed 5? Did you call it 5? The fellows in the fraternities and the women them in the sororities, the Abalapa, Kabadapa, and Babalapa, they were the ones that started all the Greek freaks and running around in house. So he said, no, you've been hanging around with some funny people. I said, I got that way at corner. So then I decided this thing. I said, Pythagoras didn't start spherical trigonometry. He said, who is Pythagoras? Oh, I said, he's coming another 2,000 years to school. He's going to come to our school 2,000 years from now. He's going to come. You see, because I was the one the prophet was prophesied, what's going to happen in the future. So he says, no, I don't know what the hell the Pythagoras. We don't know nobody by that name, Pythagoras. And so I said, yes, he's a Greek fellow. So since I'm speaking to the great, one of our great men, one of the same kind of men that later Alexander is going to come to see. I am speaking to the oracle of Anu. And the oracle is telling me all these things that how we did it. I see it's going on, I saw it going on, but the oracle said, oh, this, you see, in order for us to tell a circle, you see, a circle in a straight line, or the chord, the arc, I have to know spherical geometry to know the different terms of how can I get from here to here on the arc, on the chord. He says, that's so. I said, you can't use triangulation for that. He said, yes, I could use triangulation for the line work, but what happened about the curvature? I said, that's what Pythagoras is going to go to Greece and become the father of? He said, yes, soon, one of these days. So I just went down there and asked the brother, this is the oracle, and I'm speaking. I said, oracle, tell me something about medicine. Because there's somebody is coming to invent it. He said, I don't know this name to use it. Boy, you don't know any African name all every time I hear you. You got some us and tos and is and Ignatius and Pascatus and all kind of damn things. Don't you know any African name? I said, sir, forgive me, I've been hanging out with future Europeans. So he said, well, son, well, let's deal with you. You're a product, your mother had you by a method, and she spaced the child. You notice that your mother had you, but she didn't have your sister till 18 and a half years later. It could be that she was spacing the time between you and your sister. I said, for 18 and a half years. That's all the daddy wasn't doing nothing. He said, more than likely that your daddy wasn't able to do much between that time, between you and your sister. But let's say that your sister was born you had every 4 years, you have a brother and a sister. Your mother may have been using one of the medical papyrus that we produce, and that is the one for Hatshep. So I said, what is that? What is the papyrus? I said, it's paper, son. Let's say we make it there from those reeds. And I said, but the Greeks gonna have that when they come too. He said, yes, everybody will have paper. Even black folks in Queens gonna have paper, but they don't know where it come from. Yeah, they gonna think it come from Europe. I said, on the paper, on that papyrus, you see, we wrote down a medical treaty. It is today called the Evers papyrus. Some Europeans stole it from Africa and sell it to another one. He put his name, Evers papyrus. He said that is nothing but a papyrus dealing with birth, Planned Parenthood. Hatshepsut, Queen Makari Hatshepsut, she used it. Now she used that in 1555 years before Mary and Jesus. It meant that she used that 500 or more years before there's a Greece. She used that Planned Parenthood to stop herself up to have 2 children. She felt that she couldn't be the queen of Egypt, who operated as a king wearing men's clothes and even wear a false beard. And she didn't want to get pregnant when she had affairs of state. So she used it. I was doing a little thing, you sister, because so that the big brothers don't keep you pregnant all the time. You can't afford money for protection. Then get some shrub, it calls for some shrub of acacia, put into honey. And the chemical reaction, it will break down into lactic acid. Lactic acid, when you put it in the canal, would trap the sperm, murder them. And then none of them could live, because that's the same thing you're doing today when you buy artisanal jelly. It is none but put it in the rubber, in the cup. All it does is help to practice fun. Any one of those ones don't run around the edge, swim around the edge and go behind it, they catch the sucker coming up around the edge. See, that's what the other diners came from. That spermicidal jelly came from the Evers papyrus. Now, we went back and said, this is it. He said, no, son, we got all kind of medical papers. He said, let us go to what is called a Rockefeller. Rockefeller got a papyrus. He said, that's one of the thieves was Rockefeller. He stole a lot. And he said, we will go there and deal with spinal injuries. We will go there and I'll show you another papyrus of dealing with gynecology. Way back there, not only had our ancestors been dealing with it, but they had broken down medicine compartmentally in the sub-disciplines of medicine. And you could go to the Brooklyn Museum and see the Edwin C. Smith papyrus, a papyrus dealing with surgical techniques. Just as you could go today at the double temple of God Osiris and the god Subak. It is at a place called Komombo. And in the rear part of this temple, you can still see the medical instruments, the scalpel and the scissors and all that there outlined on the wall. You see the medusa. As you enter every temple in the inside and outside, you see the symbol where the doctors wear. And they told you they didn't know where it comes from. But every temple, as you walk into the door, you're bound to see it. So, you see, I'm talking now. Remember, there's no Greece yet. I am bringing them in the picture all the time. They're going to come 2,000 years in the future. And you're sitting down with me and hearing me ask our sages these questions. And you're going to come back to this world like I did. You see, we're going to transpose you. And you see that thing that we're going back for the got in the movies? They'll go back to the past. The time machine. I am bringing you today. We have brought you back. You sitting down and listening to our sage. You're not hearing me. The sage is speaking through me to you. I am translating because you ain't know the language with English and the Arabic. A few words, you could say Assalamu alaikum. So I've got to translate from the hieratic language, from the demotic language, from all those languages to you. Because you went to sleep on the church. On the way from there to here, you went to sleep and forget everything. So I'm doing the translation for you, because I didn't sleep in the meantime. That's why I got so old. And then we start to talk about the one thing that is most important in your mind, philosophy. So, but you said you can't talk about philosophy. The Greeks ain't come yet. And if the Greeks are not here, we can't talk about philosophy. Protestants didn't get born yet. He said, son, I don't know what this, I tell you what it is and also I don't know them. They're not here yet. You're looking into the future, son, and the future isn't here. Deal with reality. You're doing the same thing like you're talking about going to heaven. Heaven ain't here yet. Let's deal with terra firma. You know? It says that's it. So I said, now tell me something about philosophy. He said, since you're supposed to know, I'm trying to stay here yet. The prophet isn't here yet. You know that Aristotle isn't here. Plato isn't here. How are you going to talk some down about philosophy? They got to come here before you can talk about it. So he says, keep quiet, son. Let me tell you. He says, salvation. I said, salvation? Salvation. You know the Salvation Army? He said, no. He says, salvation. He says, salvation is the fundamental principle of deification. So, he said, listen to it, son. Salvation is the fundamental principle of deification. I said, you mean I don't be God? He said, son, that's the whole theory. Who do you think made God? Come, let me show you. And God was the Word. I said, are you reading out of the 5 books of Moses? He said, who is he? I said, are you reading out of the Quran, the the one as interpreted by Ali from Yusuf Ali from Pakistan. He said, Yusuf Ali, you know Ali in the world yet? And you see, because I got to make sure this man talking about salvation and Ali isn't here with the Quran. I mean, all the Quran they had when they killed all the people who had the different ones and decided they're going to come up one alone. And born up Allah and decided on one. I said, you mean the New Testament isn't here? So that we could go to the 19th conference of bishops and kill off Bishop Athanasius because he don't believe in immaculate conception and virgin birth? No. So we could go to the Council of Jamia where then Jews are going to make a book called Genesis because they had 4 and they start talking about Egypt, leaving Egypt and ain't getting the world yet, so they had to add 1. I said, no. He said, boy, we don't reach there yet, sir. So I said, well, tell me some more. He said, you see, the Word was God. And God was the Word. Blessed be the Word. I said, what are you talking about? God is God, man. God is Allah. God is Jesus. God is Jehovah. He said, son, I don't know those things. God is Ra. I said, who? He said, son, did you see the sun that's coming up there? I said, yeah. He said, that's the symbol of God, son. Without that, you don't live. Without that, you have no night and no day. Without that, you don't see the moon. You don't see the stars. I said, what? Without that, there's no chlorophyll, son. I said, you're a genius, sir. You must be a prophet. He said, no, son, we don't deal with prophecy. I am a mathematician. We deal with calculation. That's how we can tell things. We don't dream. Yeah, we do dream when we work too much, ate too much, have too much sex or something, and we go to sleep. We dream. We snore too. I said, so you mean to tell me, no wonder they call our educational system the mystery. He said, son, how old are you, son? I said, well, I'm only 7. He said, I am going to induct you into the mystery system. So the guy kept telling him, well, it's too much for you. He said, take your clothes off. I said, to induct me in the mystery system? I said to you, wait, you're faggot? And he said, no, son, take your clothes off. Trust me. And then I said with this big knife, I said, we don't do that. I'm only 7 years old, but I get erection. And then he come very close to my defender. He said, but the thing was just that when I'm taking that woman's ear, I'm drilling a hole, I am going to massage it. I said, what? I'm going to massage it and it wouldn't hurt. He massaged it, 2 fellas hold of me and cut it. He said, son, you see that foreskin? It will go back some. And that is to stop different microbes from hanging out underneath there. And that, you must have that. You must be clean to go. You know, the Jews ain't come yet. No circumcision yet. Abraham ain't get circumcised yet. How you don't get circumcised? And then he said, son, now you're ready for study. I said, just that. He said, now you're clean. But you got to take a bath. He said, and every day before you eat, before you put anything inside in your body, you must have a clean outside. You must bathe outside and clean that in order to put thing inside. Because you may take the dirty thing from outside and put it inside and get call yourself to upchuck. When you should be chucking behind you, be chucking up at the top. So I said, is that all? He said, now you're going to study, son. I said, but the Greeks ain't here yet. He said, no, this is the rotunda. And you see what happened? He said, in that rotunda, what we call the hypostyle hall, you're going to be there with the other priests. The priest said, that's the highest stage of your education, son. I said, well, what about this deification? Continue, I like that. He said, that means that one day, when you pass out of this life, I said, I'm going to die, and there's some, everything goes to the stage. It's a higher stage you go to. You go to the stage for the twat. I said, what? The twat is the woman's vagina. He said, no, they call it the twat. Symbolic, the twat is the little passageway from this world into the nether world. It's called the twat. And we symbolize that by the arm of Aset, which the Greeks are going to later call Isis. And it's that distance from this world we're in to the nether world. He said, it's the twat son. And the woman, people deal with it because of the fact that the shape of the woman's reproductive organs along the fallopian tube has the same shape, and it carries one thing from one department to the other, and thus they call that equally the twat. I said, well, what you know, we've been using the name in this time and using it all wrong. He said, son, it's just like the stupid men you got in your country calling nut, that you go kick him in his nut. He said, that a nut is a woman. We call nut N-U-T. And it is a woman, it's one of the goddess. She's the goddess in charge of the sky. She's the mother of heaven. I said, what? So then you mean to tell me that we so stupid under European training that we don't know nut is a woman? He said, son, there's a lot of things you don't know. There's something going wrong who's been up there behind. They think they're women. So, now, so I said, go ahead, talk, man, because this education get good to me. Remember, there's no Greece yet for me to learn any of this. Yet. We don't colonize them yet because they don't exist. Adam and Eve don't exist. We can't even tell them jackasses. Because Eve would have known it was nothing she did wrong for going to the tree, let the snake play with her since she had a jackass sitting down there with a hard arm not doing nothing. If she had come and taken the lesson, she would have known there was nothing wrong about having sex and not being married. People don't get pregnant for marriage certificate. Now that thing give you brother's license to go around coming in the sisters and go marry them. Marriage, it got nothing to do with heaven. Marriage got something to do with security to your woman and the children. Give them a sense of civil security that in the event you bought that crook, she got something to hold a prima facie evidence to show the court that that jackass was my husband. And I'm entitled to pieces that are casted cost. You know, I'll bury the sucker and get the few dollars that he left in the bank. Those that they didn't use in alcohol and drugs. So now, sister, you understand this? Marriage is really what God put together, let no man put asunder. If God is so powerful, he put something together, how am I going to put it asunder? And if God is driving. So, you see that this your ancestors speaking to you through me. Well, why not? If you could listen to some suckers telling you they were inspired scribes of God, I ain't inspired by God, I ain't powerful for God. I ain't going to put that lie in God. Why should I lie in God? God must have been with the old lady lying down having a good time. Why should I lie in man? Now, and the old lady is goddess. All right. So I am there listening to the scribes still, you know, and now I'm in the mystery system. I'm going around. I in the mystery system, I'm studying ministry. I'm not free to be a Freemason yet. Because I'm not walking in the street with no top hat. I'm not going to any kind of thing with a big top hat, looking like a penguin, a black penguin, with a big coat, long coat, ass tail, hanging up in the sand, and all this thing calling myself secret society. But I'm setting down the basic values that others are going to come and adopt. That black folks going to adopt from Europeans in Scotland talking about going up the Scottish side. With the 33 degrees, 11 of them for Jesus Christ, what they call the ethical rights. And the York rights, all of that junk. Give us back the first 22 and you ain't got a damn thing left. Now let's go on now. That's all I'm going to talk about you, so get yourself straight. Now, I am still there studying. I'm still at Saqqara. We're not going to leave Saqqara and go to Waset, which the Greeks came after the conquerors. We're going to eventually teach that jackass. They're going to come to the world when we should let the sucker die in the mountain, in the cave. He comes to the world and he's going to conquer us. That's the one thing. We're going to bring another bunch of foreigners to dinner and they're going to eat out the host and the hostess. And so I'm going to move to Waset, which they call Thebes, and which the present Arab changed to Luxor. And there I'm going to set up a temple. My name is going to be Amenhotep III. And I'm going to set up this big education system there. remind you again, I am in the 18th dynasty. There is no Greece yet. I am the husband of Queen Titus. And you got no doubt when you look at her, who she was. I am the man who the Greeks gonna come later and believe that I am one of the great generals. And thus, when they come and see my two colossal statues at the west bank of Wasset, they're going to call me all kinds of names from Agamemnon all the way down. And yet they weren't alive, they weren't in history yet. I set up there, this lodge. Later, in the 19th dynasty, one of my descendants, Ramesses II, he's going to come. This is the one that the Jews eventually going to lie and said that he chased them out of Egypt. And there's no record of them being chased out of anywhere, not at that time in history. And I will set up this grand lodge there. That is long before the Arabs are going to come and on my temple, use my temple foundation as a foundation and build a mosque on my temple. Abu Haddad is going to come, disrespect my temple, and put his damn mosque on top of my temple. Let me do that today. Let me build a mosque. Let me build one of my temple and the foundation of a mosque. And some of you in here will be damn mad, but you're not mad that an Arab comes and build his mosque and your temple. He'll stop. Even though they said that Muhammad's grandmother, maternal grandmother, came from Ethiopia. They didn't remember that. When we gave them a religion, even gave them a black stone from Ethiopia to call the Kaaba. Here you see. Those who don't know me call you hate. Hate it. They don't know me. They don't know my name. My name is Al-Kabbalah. My name is Originator. My name is Creator. My name is Kunun. I make man and my potter's wheel out of clay. Long before God Jehovah copied the pattern and made Adam out of clay, but forgot to do it without the potter's wheel. I have the proof of what I did. I could carry you to my temple. My temple is still in Esna, in Upper Egypt. You can see me doing it on the walls. My scribes put it down there for time, dug in the stones. And I carry, my son carried people to see it, to witness it. All these things I am saying, my son carried people to see it, and bring other people to bring people to see it, to witness what we had done. Where is the recording by Adam, by Eve, by Noah? Rather than the thoughts of some Hebrew scribe at the Sanhedrin around 700 BC. Way, way late, son. These are little children. I had already gone on to get my ankh in another world. Thousands of years before, some little fools called Jews came around to distort my 147 admonitions of Goddess Ma'at, and took out 10 of them and called them 10 Commandments. Son, I will carry you in the tomb of Ramesses VI in the Valley of the King and show you all of the 147 admonitions from Ma'at on the wall there. See them there? And Moses isn't born yet. In the city of Goshen. Up the river there. And said, down the river there. In Egypt. The first Jew, Abraham, isn't born in Chaldea yet. Akhenaten is already spoken about one and only true God's son. Akhenaten, his name The son of Amenhotep, the first I just spoke to you. Queen Tiye is his mother. We call him Amenhotep the fourth. He changed his name to Akhenaten. The sun is beautiful. God is beautiful. He said, there is only one God, son. We have been saying it is only one God. But we said it is Ra. And all the different names are just qualities of Ra. We drew a picture, a sketch. We call it the diagram of the law of opposite to explain it, son. But since Akhenaten wanted to be clearer, let him go ahead. Akhenaten said, we're only going to use one name. We will use the name Aten. And we will take the same sun, the symbol that our ancestors was using with Amun. And we will take the rays and put thumbs at the end of the rays. And we will call it the Aten. And so we will pray to Aten. And when Moses is born, we will tell him about it. Poor fellow when he comes, he needs to know this. We know he's going to be a trader, but it's all right. We always got one in our mix. So in Washington is not the only trader we got, son. We got many more. And so we said to Akhenaten, don't marry that girl from Asia, Nefertiti. Don't marry her. She came from Matani. They're sisters here. Marry one of them. You see, it ain't no we've been doing this. We are taught. It seems as if we wouldn't listen. I told that boy Akhenaten not to do this. Don't let that God thing get to his head. It did get to his head, but not the one up here. It got to the middle head. He was trying to explain the thing the wrong way. And I tell Akhenaten, why are you going to take your cousin and put him on the throne with you, Semenkari, to stop and talk about getting rid of the army, but non-violence? The world isn't like that now. You got some crackers already in the world. You got some Asians already in the world. It's not us alone in the world. These people aren't civilized yet. They're going to destroy what we build. They're going to try to destroy our pyramids. They're going to come and take stones from the pyramid and build homes for the rich one and build silk mosques for himself from the stones of our pyramids. I had to listen to the oracle talk. And the oracle said, son, I saw in the future a people coming out of the nowhere. A people we're going to call them Greeks. They're way off here. You see, son, we are still here in the 18th dynasty. They're not going to come in the scene when they see the Ethiopians, the Ethiopians in charge, Bianchi, and all of them. They're coming down the Nile. They're going to take over because we're not doing right. They said that even the gods we are despoiling, the gods that came from Puni, came from around Kenya, Uganda, northern Tanganyika. You know, boy, we used to call all of that in ancient times, we call that Puni. We didn't call it these funny names. The mountain of the moon, son, used to be where we came because the gods like to be there. And it's all papyrus, all paper. The purpose of Funefa said, we came from the beginning of the Nile, Uganda and Ethiopia, at the foothills of the mountain of the moon. He said, son, geographically, you know what that is? He said, son, you know, son, we were alone in a sense. We didn't know that other people would come. We don't know where they would come. Some place called the Caucasus Mountains, between a place called Asia and Europe. Someplace like that. There would be other people coming. We try to forestall it, but human nature. Nature goes out of control sometimes, and we would have liked to stop those bastards before they ever come on the scene. We know they're going to have trouble, because see, I can see in the future, those bastards, those ice people coming, and because of that ice, they're going to cause a lot of trouble. But again, and stop it, son. We appeal to the Word. But the Word didn't tell us. We didn't read it from the Word. You see, son, got a boy along, bring it down from. I didn't get to Europe yet. You see, did I say anything about Greece? I just said they're gonna come. Did I say anything about Rome? I just tell you they're gonna come. Did I say anything about China? It's gonna come. Did I say about India? And I can't talk about India because I didn't send out the Dravidians yet. Sisters didn't go there yet. We didn't carry the worship of Goddess Hathor, Heru yet. To start the worship of the symbol of the sacred cow, Goddess Hathor. She is still on the temple. She's still at the temple down at Dendera. The temple of Goddess Heru, where you see thousands of heads of the sacred cow and the capitals of the columns. You see, son, the noble will come one day. And you will argue with him, argue for years with him. He has to come because you can't go and show enough people as he could do in one day. You have to get killed over to go with you one day. Fight him. Call up his wife. Let both of you tear him down. Call Jeffries. Bother him. Don't let him eat. Go to the toilet. Everywhere you can find him. And make him feel bad that he doesn't come. Kidnap him one day. And carry him. So that more people can see. Who don't go physically may see it. May see the glory, as spectacular as it may look at the TV, is nothing, as he said. It took him a good hour before he could compose himself to take the picture. He got there and saw the double temples at our symbol of Ramesses II and his most favorite wife, Nefertara, not to be mixed up with Nefertiti. And the colossal that hit him for a while, he forgot to tell Reverend Brown to take the picture. He didn't speak because he was speechless. He says, I couldn't believe I was looking at what African man did. It was too much for one person to behold. That moment, all of what has been taught that I can't learn, I realized what the cracker had done to me. How I can't learn as my father didn't even build this. They didn't take stone by stone. No, they cut into this mountain as they had done in the statue of Pharaoh Khafra. When they cut out a statue of man's head and the lion's body and call it God Ra-Heru-Kata, later Hamakis, which the Greeks came and called the Sphinx of Giza. They went in there and built these two temples by digging it out. Went in, as they now do later in Ethiopia, when they dig out the wall, the cathedral, and down into the earth at a place called Lalibela. The genius of the African in one swoop went over. When the African was already in its decline in Egypt, when the Africans had already become corrupted in his self-aggrandizement, when he no longer listened to the word has stopped being his God. He moved from there and carried his God beyond himself. He no longer saw that his God himself, man, the birds, the trees, the earth, the moon, the sun, all were one. When he started to talk about he is higher than another animal, when he stopped understanding the totality of all things. With all the different fingers, he failed to understand that all the fingers are on one hand. And all the other 5 fingers are on one hand, and the 2 hands are on one body. When he starts to compartmentalize that this is different to that one, and this one is different, look how distance from here to here, this got to be different to this one, forgetting the place that connected the 2. He thought that this was separate from this, forgetting here, because it's connected here too. So the philosophical concept that Garvey came, Marcus Messiah Garvey, who is a national hero of a country that don't teach anything about the national hero. Not a classroom in the country got one book dealing with the national hero. And they are independent. They are independent. Out of many come one, they said. Don't worry, son. H. Sylvester Williams, George Padmore, Cyril L.R. James would come from Trinidad, and they will come to New York City to a man called W.E.B. Du Bois, William Edward Wordsworth Du Bois. And they would offer him a new concept of Pan-Africanism, but he, with his Pan-Negroism and his 10%, with their monocles and their 4 letters, Greek of course, would reject them. And Pan-Africanism would be a thing run primarily from Jews teaching at NYU, the Baskis and others. They will go to the London School of Economics, and they will have their conferences themselves and Europeans, and they will travel in merchant ships where African people have to go to the 3rd deck below, can't go anywhere, and Pan American won't take them yet. They didn't take black people and the goose, the flying duck. You see, son, what will happen is the Church of Rome will forget its black Madonna and child. The Church of Rome will join with the Portuguese and the Spanish and enslave your brothers and sisters. From 1482 and in 1506, they will move the slave colony to the so-called New World, to a place they call Hispaniola, which others will call Haiti and Santo Domingo. And so there will come a time when those brothers and sisters of yours will be dying off the shores of Miami, and you will be crying for the Vietnamese Boer people, but you will not cry for your own Boer people, because you see what happened. You got to believe that the slave boats came directly from Africa to Jamestown, Virginia. You didn't realize that they stood 110 years in the Caribbean before they came to Virginia. You would time that was the remember. You see, son, you would have a short memory. You would come there, son, and you will identify with your master, believe in. You will be going to all his wars. You will even fight for his war of liberation from his own brother. And whether you would fight on one side for the Englishman, and whether you would fight on the other side for the Englishman, daughter, slut's son. And they would call it civil war. And some of you would be taken to Nova Scotia. Some of you can realize you can't stop the cold and let them carry it to England, and then can't stand it there, and you will go to Sierra Leone. And some of you would wind up in a place called Liberia. You will go back home and kill the people there, your own people, and call them the natives. And you will come to Monroeville talking about America is your motherland.
God, please. Please, God.
Some you will disintegrate. You will miss salvation. All because you believe that being a mayor, you believe that being a congressman, a senator, a judge of the Supreme Court in your master's land make you your master.
Please, bro.
Make you a master. And then you will commit the unforgivable sin. You will sleep with a master's daughter. You will take all our funky diseases and you will pass it to your mother and your sister and your woman at home. And you will wind up with AIDS.
God, please, God.
You see, son, those things look glamorous. Having a boat in the basin is glamorous. Having a Audi 5000 or Mercedes SK25 and a condominium up in the hill looking over nowhere. Going up to the mountain top and seeing on the other side when you get your ass blown clear off the mountain top. And another brother who fights for you will get killed, but you're not going to send a penny to his widow to support his 6 dear children, little girls, two of whom, when he get killed, was still in the mother's womb. He didn't even know he had them because she was making him a surprise on his birthday to tell him, I am pregnant again. But there will be all kinds of things on the memory of his death, raising funds, but his daughter's not getting a dime. Some would say that this is God, it's in the prophecy, that's that nonsense. If the future is already made, then sit in your ass and do nothing. You don't need to do anything. If it is prophesied and it's going to happen, it's in the card. What the hell you doing? Sit down there and let it happen. It's happening because you did nothing about it. It's a lame excuse to say it's all in God's plan. Where is God's plan? Pull it out, show me the document, so I will know tomorrow what I'm supposed to do. Son, who cares? Until another time I can't reveal all I have revealed to you. Frankly, son, there's nothing in the future. There's nothing new to reveal to you. This is all gone. It's God. Yesterday's food. You have had this food before. You have regurgitated, but we have to eat it again. Because obviously the substance did not remain with you. The only thing you have is the house. But since you didn't get out all the substance, I am going to make you eat it again and again and again. You will have to be like the cow that bring it down. Any such animal with a cud and bring it back up and carry it back down and bring it back up a number of times until all the substance stay in you. So son, be your sisters and your brothers. Tell your sisters that they have to talk to your brothers. Tell your sisters the reason black men don't treat black women good is because black women didn't teach black men when they were little boys at their breasts. Tell your sisters to stop using bottles. Breasts were made for baby's mouth. Daddy can't have it all.
God speaks now.
No, that don't mean I'm gonna give up Bible. Maybe the baby and I will just have to share it. But sister, when you get that little brother, your man ain't treating you right, take his child when you get it at the breast and brainwash that child about how to treat the African woman, about how to recognize the African woman when you go to college, when you win money, to know that she is the next wife. Make him understand it is his obligation. It is obligation from God and the goddess, all the deities, that he marry an African woman. That he spend his money with an African woman. That is the product. Let him understand that whether he call himself Muslim, whether he call himself Christian, whether he call himself Hebrew or Yoruba, he is still an African. And Africa comes first and last.